are running through that head switcher into the Splawn cabinet over here. Everything else, this bank of 4 is running through that 412. This bank of 4 is running through this 412. Okay, like I said, these two, this end and this one right here, are both Soldano SLO-100s. This one has a loop, full-time effects loop. I don't like loops; they're tone robbers. And this one has got a loop bypass. I have it bypassed. So even though these are together, this head, this reverb vibrato tremolo is actually running through this Soldano. Okay, so I'm going to show you the cleans possibilities with this. You'll see that this particular amp kind of, even with the loop engaged. I mean, if you know guys that are running G majors and G systems and stuff like that, that's all way cool. But it's a lot of digital stuff. It's just more stuff in the loop. When you start running amps like this, you start weeding yourself off of it. That's my board, but if you'll see that majority of this stuff is modulation. Channel changer, everybody's got to have a wah. Phaser, chorus, flanger, univibe, tremolo, analog delay, and I don't know if you know ever seen a climb before it, but this is the sickest overdrive ever made. Okay, this is Bill Finnegan, who makes Klein. There was 2 dealers, one in L.A., one in London. He told me, he says, Lenny, if I can get my health up, you're going to be the other dealer, and he never did. So this has been discontinued for 3 years. They're on eBay at 4 figures right now, and is it worth it? No, but it's a fantastic, transparent overdrive. So I use this a lot. Notice I've got the gain on 0. None of these amps in this room need gain. Get out of the way and let the amp do it. Let the pickups do it. So I'm going to put Wade on the Splawns, and then we'll let him run these. Quick Rod, EL34s, and this is going to be KT88s, a lot more big chug, kind of like a Bogner Ubershaw, diesel VH4, stuff like that, okay? So, yeah, it's going to get, they're pretty loud. So I'm going to put my headset on and sit right over here. And then I'm going to run the switcher and let you hear all these other amps. The differences in the cleans. That was the Quick Rod. This will be the Nitro. So you could tell the difference there. So the difference on those two there is the one that you heard with a lot more bottom end is going to be the KT66 amp or KT88. Oh, that's my daughter Christina. Say hello to Christina. If you see somebody running around, always running, not stopping, that's my pumpkin. So you can tell the difference between the cleans in here. One is going to be more saturated, a little bit fatter in the mids, where the Quick Rod's not. So now you're going to hear the same thing with the gain structure.
Wow.
Okay, that was a quick rod. Now I'm going to run over on the Nitro. Let you hear that one. So you can tell, you can kind of see the difference the way these are all set up. Quick Rod's going to have more midsection. Nitro's going to have a little bit more bottom end, a little bit more full. So I'm going to have him chunk some drop D on the Quick Rod, and then I'm going to switch it over to the Nitro. We'll go back and forth so you can tell the difference. You'll hear the saturation on the bottom. Now, the difference between the two, okay? That's mainly just tube choice. Again, KT88s versus EL34s. For my taste, I like the Quick Rod. That's what both these guys are playing. Kish actually has a Nitro as well for his studio. So that's going to be probably the best sounding Marshall style amp. Now, that's third gear, okay? So I'll show you something what the Quick Rod does. And I'll put this back on first gear, which is plexi style. I'll run it up to JCM 800, which is gear 2, and then that's what you were hearing is 3. So you're hearing the gain structure fall down. Okay, that's the Quick Rod and the Nitro. And can y'all tell the difference back there? I mean, out here it's just so loud, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can definitely hear the difference in saturation. All right, so I'm going to put Kish on, I'm going to put him on the Diamonds right now. One thing about the Diamonds, it's still going to have that Marshall-style tone to it, but it's going to have a tinge of a Mesa feel to it. I don't mean dual, triple, single rec. I mean more like a Mark II or Mark IV, okay? So what we're going to start out is, these amps are a little different, so I'll just kind of work you through these real quick. The Spec Op was the original amp that Diamond came out with that Jeff and Martin Golub designed. It's going to have a modern clean, very little breakup at all, okay? So Lamb of God, Godsmack, Dragon Force, you know, players like that, okay? That type tone. Versus my amp over here, which is going to be much more of a Marshall-style clean, like the Plexi. It breaks up more. It's a little fatter. It kind of splats out like a Plexi does. Doesn't stay together as much. These amps here, with that type clean and that type feel on the overdrive, are much better for sweep pickers. So if you've got a shredder in there and all he's doing is sweep picking, then you need to get him on an amp like this. Now, what you're going to see is guys like the old blues players, Hubert Sumlin, Buddy Guy, amazing in what they do, but there's a lot of sag built into Fender amps, right? Because it's got a glass tube rectifier. None of these use a glass tube rectifier. They're all solid state. So it's in your face, much more articulation. The notes are faster reacting. So what does that tell you? If the guy is not a real good player, or that's not the feel he's looking for, he's going to sound sloppy on an amp with a solid state rectifier because it hears everything, okay? No doubt about it. So what I'm going to start out with is going to be the Phantom down here. A buddy of mine is in Shinedown. Zach Myers plays a Phantom. It's a great amp. It's a JCM 800 on steroids, and it's good for those guys that are singing. They move around on stage a lot, and they're still playing guitar, and they're the only guy. It's a forgiving amp, but not as forgiving as this, not as forgiving as either one of these SLOs or the Splawns. You really got to be on your best game, unless you're like Kish that can sing amazing and play this stuff at the same time. So I'll start you out with the Phantom in the green. And then what we're going to move into is going to be more of the Spec Op, which is a flagship of Diamond. And we're going to start off and the cleans first. And then what we'll do is I'll move into 2A and 2B. It's a 2-channel amp that actually has got the overdrive split. Independent master volumes, independent pre-gains. And I've got them set up where it's good, better, and best, if you want to look at it as in gain structure. So you'll be able to hear the difference. When you hear this one, you're going to think Marshall. When you hear this, you're going to think Plexi there. JCM 800. This has kind of got its own kind of thing to it. This right here, your death metal guys. Okay, Slipknot, Korn. This is what they need to be playing. Okay, so I'll get ready to run that. Switching action. I'm going to run these 4 first, but I think I've got everything dialed in. Everything's ready to go. And we'll start out with the Phantom first. Now it's going to be this quick, my Diamond Spitfire. It's going to break up a lot quicker, more Marshall style on the same clean. Now you can tell the difference between a modern clean and that being a Marshall-y style clean. It's even different than my Plexi because that's a 4-input amp. There is no master volume on that. The only way to get gain out of a non-mastered amp is to get the volume up. Plexis sound great twice, off and wide open. There is no mid-gain. There's nowhere to be in the middle, okay? Off, wide open. That's the way it is. When Stevie Ray tracked Little Wing in Memphis for Sky's Crying, they had to separate him in separate rooms and put bass traps up, everything they could find, because he ran with such intense volume, surrounded by his Dumble, his Vibroverbs, his Vibroluxes, and a 200-watt Marshall Major. He thought of one way to do it, off or on, and that means wide open. These amps are very respective of that. You don't have to get that intense volume. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to switch over to 2A. Much more gain, but not as much as the lead side is going to be. So I'm going to run each one of these in there. So I'm going to start with the Phantom. Then I'm going to go to the Spec Op. Then I'm going to go over here so you hear more of a Marshall-y type tongue, and then back to here. And I'm going to point to where you'll know which one of them are, okay? on that, that's going to be 2A, not quite as much gain as before. And what you can tell on this amp here, it doesn't sound like there's as much gain because there's not, but it's a little bit more, it's a tighter midsection, a little bit more focus for that. They're all running at 100 watts. The Phantom's going to be like a JCM 800. So now I'm going to, and then this is just pure shred right here. Now, this Diamond Spitfire may sound like it's working harder. It's just that it's splatting out on you. That's what you're hearing, okay? It's kind of splatting out. It's not mushing out, but it's just kind of a blah. This is kind of there versus staying together. So I'm going to run these up into the second channel, and we're going to start with the Spec Op first, and then we'll increase gain as we go. This is as wicked as they get. If you say that this amp doesn't have enough gain, you need to get your ears checked. It just doesn't get any more gainful than that. Okay, here we go with the Spec Op first. So you can see that's a lot of gain. That's a lot of gain. Like I said, there's no place you're going to play this anywhere local that I know of other than Bridgestone. But it gives you the ability to see the difference on what they do. Independent, two independent channels, a 2A, a 2B. You can set the gain structure the way you want. You can actually set the gain identical with a little bit more volume out of one of the two sides and not increase any gain. So if you just wanted to use it for a lead boost, even though it's got a boost in here, that gives you something so when you're playing with a drummer and he's getting a whole lot more aggressive and the guy's getting harder and harder and harder, you got something left, okay? Most drummers will pay attention. They won't do that. Okay, so that's going to be the diamonds, okay? Those are the diamond side. Now I'm going to go to the Soldano. All right, you're going to see, instead of EL34s, British style over here, all of these are British. These last four are going to be 6L6 style American, okay? They've either got 6L6s or 5881s in there. So what we're going to start out with is this Lucky 13 down here. This has got a dual reverb for each channel, okay? I'm going to put Kish on a Les Paul on this one, and you're going to see that this has got that dual showman style clean to it. Really, really nice clean. even though that amp is a 2-channel amp, they're two totally different channels. We use the one in the studio primarily for the clean. Big, in-your-face clean. It's not going to break up at all until you're at almost full power. That's the way it was designed. But it's only 50 watts. I could have gone with a 100-watt version, but it's too much. Just too much. So now I'm going to run into the Avenger, which is a 50-watt overdrive channel only. It's going to be similar to what you heard, except there's no effects loop, no second channel, nothing to get in the way, okay? Just pure aggression, more of a modern feel. Right. Here we go. Tell the difference between the two channels. This sounded a lot muddier down here with all the reverb going on, the second channel going on. It still sounds good, but this is pure in your face, just simple overdrive tone, okay? So finally what we're going to go to is I'm going to go to the clean channel of this Soldano SLO-100. This amp are identical. Loop is bypassed, loop is engaged. And I'm going to run it without the reverb unit and just going to show you what the clean could do. For a high gain amp, this has got a great clean to it. Yes, ready? You there? I have one issue. I'm going to have to fix that. I'm not sure what's going on. Let me see if I can get my SLO to run. Apology. I didn't have the reverb on. I'm going into the loop and it wasn't working, so that's me being stupid. So let's see if this will work this time. Now, that was running the reverb. So I've got this in the loop on this red amp. Identical amps, identical settings, okay? I'm going to go to the overdrive on that. I'm in the overdrive only on this one. You're going to be able to see the difference. Kisher's going to play the same lick. And I'll point to the red one, I'll point to the burgundy one, and you're going to see a little bit difference in tone. It's going to be a little cleaner and purer here without an effects loop or without anything in it. Schedule. Check that out. It is 11:45. That's exactly what I'm supposed to be. So I'm going to quit. Y'all's turn, okay? I'll leave everything back on. You guys can do however you want to do this. Knock yourself out. This room's yours. So if you want to come back here and play, grab a guitar. And these rooms, I'll close off. Play anything you want. Knock yourself out. But at 12:45, I'm going to lunch, okay, brother? So come on back and have fun.